Action.
I got laid off from my full-time job February 6, 2024. 10 years to the date of starting my business. And when I got laid off, I had no thought of what I would do. I already knew. Wouldn't you like to be in a position where you already know what it is you're gonna do when things hit the fan? She talked about the 300,000 women being laid off. Imagine knowing what your direction is already. When I say made for more, I'm not talking about more money. I'm talking about more peace, more fulfillment, more joy. The world sees you this way, but when you put your own thoughts, your own traumas, your own limiting beliefs, your own, I don't know if I can do this, in front of it, it changes the color altogether. Perception is stronger than reality. So how you perceive yourself is going to drive everything that you do. So I want you guys to clear your mind as I get ready to give you these 5 points and close out on how you can build your personal brand in 2026. These are the non-negotiables. Have you ever looked at someone and thought, I'm better than them? Yeah, they might have more followers. They may have a bigger audience. They may have more money. But I know that the thing that I do that seems to align with what they do is better than what they're doing. And in that same breath, you're like questioning, why are they ahead of me? Why does it seem like they have more stuff than I do? Why does it seem like I'm behind? Don't worry. It just qualifies you as human. Okay? It's not jealousy. It's not confusion. Okay? It's because you're human. From your perspective, you work hard. You've done the homework. You've studied. You've put in the hours. You care. You're talented. You're blessed. So why is it they're winning, or at least you perceive they are, and you seem to be like behind the 8 ball? I want to be clear. Let's set the tone. Tonight is not about tearing anybody down. It's about tightening you up. It's about making you sharper. It's about putting you into position so that you can not feel like you're behind. If you feel like you're behind, if you feel like you should be further along than you are, just drop a number 1 in the chat. I just need to know who we got in here. If you feel like, man, you know what? I should be further along than I am today, drop a number 1 in the chat. But if you feel like, hey, yeah, I'm right where I need to be, I've done all I need to do, this is exactly where I should be, put a 2 in the chat. I need to understand who understands where they are. All right. But one thing I want you to understand if you're dropping a number 1 in the chat is this. If you feel like you're behind, you're not done. The gap is usually positioning, not talent. You can have all the talent in the world in the wrong position, and you're going to be working 10 times harder to just correct things. And you can have 0 talent and all the positioning in the world and be 10 miles ahead of everybody else. Positioning will determine just about everything. And we could go all the way back to elementary school, which I won't do. I'm going to go further. I'm going to go to preschool. Remember those little blocks? One shaped like a triangle, one shaped like a circle. And you go to fit the thing in the right block, right? It goes in smoothly if it fits. The position of it is made for that spot. But when you try to force that circle in the square, it doesn't matter how talented you are. It's going to be a long time for that wood to take that shape, right? And probably never going to happen for a preschooler. You understand what I'm saying? You're going to have to pull some other tools out and try to make it fit, which is what a lot of us get into. We get into the position of making it fit instead of finding what a groove is. Oh, I can go deep down that path. I could go so deep. I'm going to keep it shallow though. Because I don't want to lose y'all tonight. This is God sending messages. This ain't something I prepared for, right? But I'm going to take a little detour because that's what happens in life. When you think about a vinyl record, that needle sits between the groove of that vinyl. And based on the shape of that vinyl and that needle, it will make a certain tune. And people have found out how to record the shapes in there as they're creating records. And so that needle has to be in the groove in order to make that sound. And we all know what happens when that needle comes out of that groove. And when it's not in that groove, the dance floor empties. The party is disrupted. The people are wondering what happened. Are you in the groove of your life? Are you making the tunes you were created to make? Or are you scratching the dance floor up? On the same note, musicians always talk about being in the groove, because it's one thing to play a lick on the guitar. It's another thing to strum that thing and make people love it, make people fall in love, and make people dance, and make people go, my God, who is that playing that sweet music? That's when you're in your groove. Stevie Wonder is one of those people that's always in the groove, right? How can you get in the groove of your life? Whether it's your career, whether it's your business, whether it's your marriage, whether it's the diet that you're on, whether it's getting mental clarity, whether it's getting rest. There are so many dynamics going on in the world. You can't just focus on one or you're going to be imbalanced. That's why I talk about building brands. Like, building your brand is not just business. I actually have a chart that I follow, and a part of my pie, my circle, my balance of life includes recreation. And I am terrible at recreation. I'm all business, baby. It's time to go get it. Being a full-time entrepreneur, you don't have time to rest, but I make time. Okay. I see y'all in the chat, by the way. I appreciate y'all popping in. Recreation is a part of life. And as we get older, we get further and further away from it. When was the last time you went outside and played? And I'm not talking about making mud pie playing. I'm talking about just, being recreational. For me, this only happens like once every 5 months or so, but I will go get on my kids' trampoline and just have a ball for like 5 minutes. My knees only allow me 5 minutes, but I take full advantage of those 5 minutes. Okay. But when was the last time you did something like that? When was the last time you played catch or shot a basketball or just did something that you used to do that was fun for you? What happens is we get so uptight, we wind ourselves up, and then we wonder why we're stressed out. We wonder why we can't rest at night. It's because you forgot how to have fun. You forgot how to let your hair down. Find a way to balance between being serious, going after what you want, but also relaxing a bit and being able to take it easy. So that's what we're talking about tonight. I titled this particular live, Why They're Ahead of You, Even If You're Better. And I did that for a reason, because there are always going to be variations of that. Sometimes the person is more talented. Sometimes the person is more connected. Sometimes they have more money. It's all these different things that we put as a veil of disguise of what is really going on. And then I always think about, well, can I control any of that? Is there anything I can do about this person who does what I do and they have 100,000 more followers than me? Can I do anything about that? No. So I'm going to center all of my energy and all of my focus on things that I can control. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about tonight. I have 5 points I'm going to bring up. And if you stick with me, I promise you, by the end of this, you're going to feel completely different about your landscape. You're going to feel completely different about the trajectory of where you're going with your career, your life, your business, your brand. So if y'all with me, let me know. Put some fire in the chat. Let me know that you are interested in hearing about these 5 points, because I'm telling you, each one of these points is going to hit differently. And some of y'all may know some of these things, but I promise you, you haven't heard it in this way. So let's jump into it. Okay. Teaching point number 1. If you got your pens, this is the moment where you want to grab them and write this stuff down. The market doesn't reward talent alone. It rewards the person who is the most clear. The market doesn't reward talent alone. It rewards the person who is the most clear. Because the market cannot reward what it cannot understand. I saw somebody create a post the other day, and this is no knock against them. It had tiny writing on the entire flyer. You know, Instagram has that, 4x3 shape is really like, it's not even like 9x16 anymore. It's in between a square and a rectangle. It's still a rectangle though. But it forces you to kind of put words in a really compact way, especially if you have photos and stuff on it, right? But what people make the mistake in doing is trying to fit their entire autobiography on that little flyer. It's impossible. Nobody's going to zoom in and read all of that. So your best bet is to simplify it and be clear. If you have to explain what it is you do in 800 sentences, then you probably need to revisit that. You need to think through how you can make it simple and clear to explain what you do. On your post, in your captions, in your words, the clearer you are, the better the market will respond to it. Okay, you can be brilliant, but if people can't clearly explain what you do, who it's for, why it matters, yeah, you're going to lose to someone that's more simple than you. So this is why the people who are like super educated and got all the fancy words and all of that stuff feel like they're left behind, or feel like nobody understands them, or, oh, well, it's a recession, that's why nobody's signing up for my course. No, it's more than likely because this person over here has a very clear, distinct path to their result, which is your customer. So you guys have to work on that. You have to get very clear, very simple, and easy. My token to you is to work less to be clever and work more to be clear. We think we have to be all fancy with it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, from brokenness to business, emancipation, proclamation of the destined. Calm down, okay? What are you talking about? Who are you talking to? And what problem are you solving? All right? Better will never beat clearer. Clearer will always beat better. Okay? If someone can describe in their offer in one sentence, and you need 5 minutes and a whole dictionary, they're going to win. Okay? If someone shows up consistently and you show up occasionally, they're going to win. The market rewards visibility. But that is a combination of consistency and positioning. All right? So we're going to get into a little bit of that later, but I want y'all to just put a pin in that. The market rewards visibility. This is why if you have a talented person who posts 1 time per month, and you have a non-talented person or a less talented person who posts 20 times per month, they're going to be more visible. Unless that one post that the other person does is just amazing. All right. But think about it from this perspective, and we'll move on to the other points. You're not losing because you're bad at what you do. You're losing because you're blurry. Blurry like you see how my hand is making my face blurry? How can you make your brand more clear, more focused? We'll jump into that. So, to my TikTok audience, jump over. LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. We're all over the place. That's how we do it. I'm trying to be more visible. You should too. All right, teaching point number 2. Write this down. Jot this down. Comparison without context creates confusion and frustration. Comparison without context creates confusion and frustration. I would venture to say, and I don't have any scientific proof of this, but most frustration in life in 2026 comes from timeline comparison. Yep. You're up late at night, scrolling, doing something you shouldn't be doing, watching TikTok when you should be getting some rest or reading a book so that your mind can be at ease from the day. And you see somebody and you're like, man, that looks amazing. She did a good job with this. He did a great job with that. I wish my stuff was that clean. Why can't I get that kind of response? This stupid cat video has 400,000 likes, but I'm over here talking about something people need to know, and I got 4 likes. What's wrong with this? Or this person does the same thing I do, and they're miles ahead of me. Why can't I get it? They must be lucky. God must like them more. They must have money. That's it. I don't have the same kind of money they have, so that's why they're ahead of me. Wrong. Stop comparing stuff because you don't know their story. Your year 2 is never going to equate to their year 10. Your first 100 reps to their 10,000 reps are not going to look the same. You don't have a degree in marketing. You don't have a background in building websites. So why would you compare your website to theirs when they paid somebody who knows what they're doing to get it done? You're beginning to refine your offer and who you are. They've been doing that for a decade. So instead of resenting their timeline, here's a nugget for y'all. If you didn't hear nothing I've said thus far, please hear this. Instead of resenting their timeline, compress it. Don't resent their timeline, compress it. Well, what does that mean, Rod? I know what compression means, but what do you mean compress their timeline? I'm so glad you asked. I'm so glad you asked. Asking is the beginning to knowledge, okay? Here's what I mean. Compression means learning from their mistakes instead of repeating them. Compression means seeing the pattern faster. It means getting corrected sooner. Borrowing from experience instead of buying with your time. Ooh. Hold up. Stop the brakes. Hold up. Hold the heck up. Borrowing from experience instead of buying with your time. I know, I feel it too. Think about it like this. If all I've worked on all my life is swimming across this river, let's just call it the Chattahoochee because I'm from Atlanta. That's all I've worked on for the last 25 years. I've been swimming across this river. I know this river backwards and forwards. I know when to do it, the best times. I know when it's dangerous. I know the right entry point. I know where it's going to take me downstream. I can tell you what to do, all of that. Does it make sense for you to go jump in the river and try to swim without talking to me? Probably not. What you're going to end up doing if you don't talk to someone with that kind of experience is buying the experience with your time. So what might take you 15 years to get to my level, you could probably get that kind of training working with me over the next year. That's how you compress it. You know, when you get ready to send a video to your friend and send it in an email, the email gonna reject that thing. It's gonna be like, this is too big, okay? But what you have to do is you have to compress it. You have to put it in a zip file, something that will hide the true size of it and make it smaller so it can send it over really quick. It's called knowledge transfer. So that's the way you do it. Instead of looking at your timeline and going, man, I wish or dang, they at first, I can't compete. Yeah, you probably won't. But guess what? You can get with somebody who has that knowledge and it will fast track your ability to get where they are. All right. Don't get lost in the sauce. Years don't automatically make you better. Reflection does. Feedback, refinement, repetition. Because you don't need more time. You need better awareness. You need to be sharper in the moment. You need someone that can advance the strides that you're already making. I can't tell y'all how many times I've connected with people who are more advanced than me in certain areas, whether it's finances, whether it's just business in general, even spiritual life. When you connect with somebody who's further down the road than you, it speeds up your track. It just does. And truthfully, it takes investment. You cannot just pull on people's time. People say, "Oh, I just want to pick your brain." Well, that sounds evil. I don't want you to pick my brain. I don't want to open up my skull and allow you to just take what you may and go on about your day. I worked hard to get here. And I don't mind sharing. That's why I'm doing this live, right? And I'm just speaking in general. It's not about me. It's about anybody. But if I'm going to spend that kind of time with you and share this experience and do the knowledge transfer and download so that you can be just as equipped or advanced as I am, and I invested all this time, which is invaluable, then you're going to have to do something. It's just a part of it. What you're willing to do is the question. What you're willing to let go of is the question. And I'll pause right there and just say, man, I've been investing in me and my business for the last 2 years dramatically. I'm not just talking about monetarily. I've done that too. I can't even count the dollars. I know in the last year I've invested at least $15,000 into building my brand. At least. I got some incredible coaches. I got some incredible people that are like supporting me, pushing into me. I got employees. I got all type of stuff. I've taken courses, conferences, travel. I mean, all of that. But I'm doing it because I know that it's important to compress some of this. It'll take me forever to learn how to, do speeches better. So I hired someone to help me with my speaking. Shout out to Marcus Y. Rozier in the Entrepreneur Speaker Group. And it's helped me tremendously. It's fast-tracked my growth. Not to say I wouldn't be able to grow without that investment, but I know for a fact I'm further down the road, a lot further, because I don't have time to waste. Okay? So moving on. Teaching point number 3. Egos stretch timelines. I felt that. Egos stretch timelines. The people that are ahead of you are not always the most talented. They are just the fastest adapters. They adapt. They're not dependent on one particular thing. They don't have all of their eggs in one basket. When COVID happened, the businesses that thrived adapted the fastest. We can go back to every point in time. There's always somebody that adapts a little bit more. Y'all know some of the popular stories. I did a brand story on it recently with Netflix. Netflix tried to sell their company to Blockbuster, who was the giant at the time. And I don't even have to go through the whole thing. Y'all already know that story. Blockbuster is no longer. It's because they didn't adapt. They felt like they didn't need to. They were cruising, right? There are always smaller people, smaller entities that will adapt faster than the bigger ones and end up overriding them. I'll give you one that you probably don't really know that much about. So AT&T, the conglomerate, they used to be a couple other names, Bell South, MCI. It's probably one more that I'm forgetting. Well, in the early 80s, they had a monopoly on the phone game, y'all. I'm talking about monopoly. To the point where like some people sued them. They had to split their company. This happened before the 80s, but in the 80s, they still had a monopoly after the split. House phones were everything. They had pay phones and stuff like that too. But house phones were how you connected with people, how you communicated. Well, they got wind of the growing fad of car phones and mobile phones. And they were like, nah, we're going to stick with house phones because that's where it's at. That's where the money is. We're good. The person that was pushing them to do it kept coming back to them. Man, y'all got to get on this. People are going to be on cell phones and mobile phones for the future. That's going to be the future. They thought it was too expensive for people. Most people wouldn't pick it up, et cetera, et cetera. Because I don't know if you know, but if you had a car phone back in the 80s, oh, baby, you were balling. You know what I mean? Your family was rich if you had a car phone in the 80s. We didn't have no car phone, but we had some people around us that did. And every time I got in that car, I'm like, that is so dope. You can call somebody from your car. It was unfathomable. Fast forward to, 2000s, it's like common to do that, right? But in the early 80s, it was just not that common. What am I getting at? They didn't make the move to the mobile game. And companies like Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile started merging. And by the time they got on that track to try to get into the mobile game, it literally almost bankrupted them. They almost went out of business. I feel confident they had to sell some stuff. Their stock price fell. It was a lot of turmoil. Luckily, they were able to get into the mobile carrier version of, wireless phones, but they had a monopoly. They just didn't adjust well. So what are you not adjusting to in your life right now? Is it picking up your phone and talking to your camera to post on social media? Is it having a database of customers you can reach out to on a regular basis? Is it even spending time with your baby and polishing it and strategizing around how you can turn it into the thing that works best for you? Because sometimes we get into modes where we oh, I don't need any help. I can do this on my own. And we find ourselves in a vicious cycle of repeatedness that doesn't advance us. I know people who started out with 150 followers 3 years ago and they got 153 today. How is that possible? Well, the only way it's possible is you're not doing what you need to do. Okay? The market does not care about your pride. That's why I titled this with the ego thing. If you say, this is how I've always done it, you're going to lose. If you say, I'm willing to pivot, you have the ability to grow. And pivot doesn't mean quitting. Pivot means adjusting without abandoning the goal. Adjusting without abandoning the goal. If this one thing didn't work, you don't just throw the baby out with the bathwater. A pivot is a slight adjustment. It's not a full adjustment. I'm not a big basketball fan. Okay, don't beat me up, LeBron and all these people. I also know that Michael Jordan is the GOAT, but we're not gonna go there. Okay, I'm just calling it out. But I do know a little bit about the game. And if you don't know anything about the game, just know that there's a pivot move in basketball. Let's just imagine that I'm on the court and somebody passes me the ball. And before I do anything else, my feet are standing here. Now, if I run with the ball and I don't dribble the ball, that's going to be a penalty. The other team gets the ball, foul, whatever you want to call it, right? It's a bad move. I have to turn the ball over at that point. But let's say that I don't want to dribble, but I want to get around this defender. I have the ability to pivot. I can stay on my one foot, whether it's right or left, and I can move the other foot to reposition myself. Y'all remember I talked about positioning at the beginning? How many times have you been in the bed and you lay in there and something just don't feel right? And you have to reposition yourself. You roll over. You go to the cool side of the pillow. I don't know if y'all know about the cool side of the pillow, man. You flip that pillow over. It's heavenly. I don't know. It's something about it. But have you ever slept on your arm and you woke up in the middle of the night? Maybe you had a bad dream or something. God woke you up from it. You woke up and your arm is half dead, right? You just know you're finna get it amputated or something. Right? But you go to reposition yourself so that you can be more comfortable, so that you can allow blood flow, so that you can get good rest. How do you need to reposition yourself in life so that you can get the blood flow back, right? So that you can begin maneuvering and going down the right path. bringing it back to basketball, getting to the hoop and putting the ball in the bucket. How can you reposition yourself? Because I'm going to tell you, nobody's going to do it for you. This is the same reason why people will invest hundreds and thousands of dollars into themselves and never do anything about it. I'm not shaming nobody, right? I got books around here that I bought years ago that I haven't even opened. I got some books that I started that I didn't finish. We got people who go to college and get tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt and don't finish. We got people who buy courses and they don't watch them. I will never understand that. But it goes all the way up, guys. This is just human behavior. I used to work in corporate. I got people who bought software for upwards of $400,000 and never used it. And then bought it again the next year. What do you need to pivot from? What do you need to pivot towards? The answer to that question will lead you down a path that's going to give you liberty and peace. But you have to do it. Nobody else can activate that for you. The longer your ego resists correction, the longer your timeline will stretch. And when I say timeline, I'm not talking about social media. I'm talking about you get into a place where you're not living check to check. You get into a place where you're walking in your purpose and doing the thing that you want to do. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. It feels amazing to be in a peaceful state when it comes to knowing I'm on the path I'm supposed to be on. Do I have it all figured out? Absolutely not. Are all my bills paid 10 years down the road? No. But I'm not stressed out. I don't have anxiety. I wake up when I want to wake up, and I'm doing the work of my life. And I will eventually leave the legacy I'm supposed to leave behind because of it. Okay? All right. I don't know if y'all lost me. We're going to do a quick recap of these teaching points. Teaching point number 1 was comparison without context creates frustration. You have to understand that people are doing stuff to get where they are. They didn't just happen to be there. Okay? So don't focus on what they have and you're better than them. Focus on the reality that you need to reposition yourself. Number 2. Well, actually, that was point number 2. Number 1 was the market doesn't reward talent. It rewards being clear. It rewards clarity. Number 2 was comparison without context creates frustration. Number 3, ego stretches timelines. Okay? It will stretch that thing out. You'd be 5 years down the road talking about, man, I knew I should have got with Rod. Hint, hint. But here we go. Point number 4. Skill is not a brand. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. Skill is not a brand. You can have all the skill in the world. Okay? You need more than that. Talent is one-dimensional. Here's what brand is. Brand is identity. It's message. It's trust. Okay? Identity. Who are you? What do you stand for? Can I trust you? Are you real? Your message. Do you communicate it clearly and consistently? Can a 5th grader understand what you're saying? Can an 80-year-old understand what you're saying? And trust. Do people see patterns of delivery or do they see patterns of dysfunction? Do they see patterns of clarity or patterns of confusion? Who would you trust? This person over here who's doing the same thing repetitively. You know exactly what they're going to deliver. This is why people go to Chick-fil-A. It ain't because they love that chicken that much. They go because they know what they're getting when they go. It is consistent. That is brand. Matter of fact, the last time I went, I need to call the president of the company. The last time I went, I didn't hear them say my pleasure. I'm just saying. And it threw me off. I almost wrecked my car. I'm in the drive-thru I ordered it on my phone and I told him my name. He said, all right. He repeated my order. I said, yep. He said, you want to make any changes? Nope. He said, have a good day. And I pulled off and I realized, and it was just like an epiphany hit me. I actually need to do a skit on that. I was like, this man didn't say my pleasure. Was it not his pleasure? Does he not like me? What's happening? I was confused. But here's my point. I expect that because that's who they are. They are consistent. I know who they are. I know what they stand for. That's why they closed on Sundays. Closed on Sundays. In my Chick-fil-A. I need to bring the old Kanye back. I miss the old Kanye. All right. Getting off track here. If I can't explain what you do in 10 seconds based off what I see on your Instagram, your LinkedIn, your TikTok, your Facebook, your website, if I Google your name, see, this is the place we have to get in, guys. Your digital footprint is connected. So you can be sharp as you want to be on your LinkedIn, but I can also find your TikTok. Who are you there? The best combative to being misrepresented across the web is to find a way to be who you are no matter where you go. That is the best way to do it. This way, you don't have to front. You don't have to act any kind of way. The same person I am on this live right now is the same person I am when I'm talking to my mom. You understand? This is the same person I am when I'm in a boardroom full of CEOs that don't look like me. Why? Because I understand that my unique value has nothing to do with me acting like somebody I'm not. All right. Okay. Y'all feeling me. I know y'all hearing me. So like I said, if I can't explain it in 10 seconds, your brand needs some correcting. If your content doesn't clearly lead somewhere, your positioning is weak. If your execution is inconsistent, you're not going to have any trust. The people ahead of you are often not more skilled. They're just more aligned. They know where they're going and it's clear. And I'm saying this from personal experience. There are people that do brand strategy. There are people that are in marketing, and I see them just like I see me. I know what unique value I bring. I see what unique value they bring. And the people that I feel are ahead of me for two reasons. They either have been doing it longer or they're more clear on what they do. And that's just all it is to it. So it's a continual refinement. It's not something you're just born with and you should have it all together. That's why we're having this conversation today. But teaching point number 5 is the difference maker. Teaching point number 5 is how we separate those who actually have the potential to become someone else someone that someone else looks at as, that person is ahead of me. Okay? Crystal, Jaquan, Natasha, Maya, these are the people that actually make a difference when they take on point number 5 and execute on it. Okay, number 5 is this, and it's very clear. Execution builds momentum. Not your ideas. Ooh, I got $1 million idea. So here's how it go, right? Well, first thing we got to, no. Ideas come a dime a dozen. Everybody got ideas. How are you executing? What are you actually doing about the thing that you have an idea about? This is why failing fast matters. Do something about it. Don't just have the idea and then do it repetitively. That's how you build a pattern of trust. That's how word of mouth travels. If you focus on execution, meaning you deliver a great product, service, value, whatever it might be, you are automatically marketing yourself. I have a marketing agency that I've had since 2014. I didn't market my marketing agency until 2021. How is that possible? Word of mouth. Other people will tell other people if you're doing a good job. And guess what? Other people will tell other people if you're doing a bad job too. And that's really hard to rebuild. You know, it takes 100 years to build a very reputable brand. It takes 100 seconds to destroy it. Patterns build trust, not promises. Okay? Develop your message, develop your direction, and watch it compound. I had somebody find me from Texas looking for somebody to help with their brand. I got hired to do my first keynote from someone in Charlotte. They wanted me to come out and do a speech. Paid opportunity. There are other situations I can tell you about. That's not happening because of chance. It's happening because of positioning. It's happening because I'm clear, and it has a compounding effect. You don't need another idea. Stop going to ChatGPT trying to conjure up what your next idea is going to be. Execute on something that you already have. Put it into motion. Put it out there and watch it blow up in flames if you have to. It's better to have done something than to sit back wondering how, why, when. I read something the other day that said there's risk in doing and there's risk in not doing. There's risk everywhere. Speaking of which, I'll bring up something I talked about in the community the other day. I didn't get a chance to finish because I forgot what my point was. By the way, if you're watching this live, put it in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. Even if you're watching the replay, I just need to know. So, again, not a big basketball fan, but I know the sport and I love some of the parallels of life. This last year, 2025, I'm watching a championship game. I think it's game 7, Indiana versus Oklahoma City. And it's coming down to the wire, right? And Indiana is losing. They lost their star player the night before to Achilles tear. I know all about that. It's not fun. And it's the last shot of the game. You know, every kid on the playground dreams of, it's time to end the game. I got the last shot. I throw it up in the air and it goes in. Swish. You make the shot. Boom. Right? I'm watching this guy and I'm thinking, like, I don't know this guy's name, but I'm like, he can make a name for himself by making this game-winning shot. Everybody in the world would know his name at that point. And I'm like, okay, he's gonna pass it to somebody else because it's just looking like he's not gonna be that guy. I don't know. It's just something in the air. He gets over to the three-point line. He jumps up to take the shot. As he's jumping, a defender's in his face with his hand out, trying to block the shot. And it's one of those moments where you know, like, oh man, this guy's really gonna block this shot to end the game. A defensive play to stop this other team from winning the championship or even having the potential, because who knows if the shot is gonna go in, but he can block it. And he's in the position. We talk about positioning. He is perfectly positioned to block this shot. It's inevitable. The guy who's taking the shot knows this. And he decides to throw the ball down instead of take the shot. I know it was a last minute moment and he had to make a tough decision because he knew the shot was going to get blocked. But let me tell you guys something and hear me clearly. Take the shot. Give your team a chance to win. It may be the most flicked, ugly shot in the world. It may have to be thrown like a Girl Scout at a summer camp. It may be like it didn't even have a shot to go in. But I guarantee you it didn't have a shot to go in by you throwing it on the ground. Why are you throwing your business on the ground? Just because it looked like it's going to get blocked don't mean you shouldn't take the shot. You've been practicing for this. You've been preparing for this. You've been playing all season. And then when you get to a high pressured moment, when you get to the moment where it's like, it's now or never, take the shot or go home, leave it all on the court, you make an ill-advised decision. Sometimes it's on purpose. Sometimes it's because of lack of preparation. Sometimes it's because of lack of skill, lack of positioning. Sometimes it's because of lack of expertise being in your corner. There's nobody, and I do repeat, nobody who has ever made it to certain heights in industries without somebody in their corner lifting them up, pushing them in the right direction, helping them to execute consistently. Because when you execute consistently, your confidence grows, your message sharpens, your positioning strengthens. Momentum is earned through repetition. You can't push the ball one time and expect it to go 15 miles. You're not that strong. And friction and gravity are going to slow that thing all the way down. Okay? You need somebody that's going to help you to push that thing consistently. Okay? Let me tell y'all something, man. You can watch content till you're blue in the face. Please don't do that. You can read all the books in the world. You can jump right in the pool and try to teach yourself how to swim. Or you can sit in rooms where correction happens in real time, where environment shapes speed. I know y'all hear this, man. The circle you keep, it changes everything. If you are around people who are playing it small, small becomes normal. It becomes natural. The opposite happens at the same time. If you're around people who are playing it big, taking risks, shooting their shot, guess what's going to happen when you get to a place where you get to shoot your shot? Now you're going to feel confident to do that. The bottom line is you're not behind. You're simply under positioned. We're moving into a digital space where no matter where you are in your life and your career, your positioning matters. You know, it used to be your resume. Now your resume is your digital footprint. They know that AI is creating this resume for you. They have AI reading the resume to tell them if they should give you a call. But guess what they're going to do once that AI machine says, yeah, take a look at this person here. Look at Crystal's resume. Look at Ayana's resume. And this could be your client. This could be, anybody. This could be a potential boyfriend or wife or whatever it might be. Husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. You get my point. That person is going to look deeper. What are they going to find? When you Google yourself, when you Google your own business, when you Google your career track, what do you see? Where do you need tightening? How can you be more clear? All right, so look, in closing, man, I just want to invite any of y'all that are interested in building to join the House of Brand. Next week, we're doing our monthly coaching call. We're going to go in these. If you got anything out of these lives, imagine what you're going to get from content that has been prepared for the last 60 days. Imagine what you're going to get from me as I'm teaching you from 20 years of experience with building brands, helping the people tighten their story and their messaging and putting stuff in place. You're going to get a lot. Okay. So if you want to join me, I think the QR code in the bottom of the screen on YouTube works. Otherwise, go to community.robbrinson.com. I would be happy to advise you on what you can do in 2026 and beyond to build your career and build your brand and put yourself in a position where you have peace, because it is attainable. It is not some fantasy world where you feel like you got to be stuck forever. So that said, I appreciate all of you, and I really want you to know that it's possible for you to be in a position where these people that you see and feel like are ahead of you are not really ahead of you. They're right next to you. They're your peers. They're somebody that's helping you to grow, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? So that said, figure out who you are, position yourself properly, and take your shot.